Dr. Uday Varunjikar, President of Consumer Courts Advocates Association, Vice President Uday Vavikar, Honorary Secretary Mohit Bansali, Honorable President and members of Consumer Forum who are attending this meeting, learned friends in the field of consumer, and other persons interested in consumer movement. Today, I will be sharing my views on housing and the new amendments in the Consumer Protection Act. Friends, Hitler used to say that if a lie is repeated multiple times, it becomes truth. And squarely, this thing is applicable for housing. At times, I wonder, in the year 1947, we have got our independence. And now we are in 2020, almost 73 years have passed. What has the government done in terms of ensuring compliance pertaining to housing? Look at a 1 rupee telephone call being done. There is an authority to regulate it like TRAI, which is very efficient in many matters. As far as our state of Maharashtra is concerned, Housing Department is the department which is supposed to regulate housing. If you look at property laws for the state of Maharashtra, except for Maharashtra Ownership Flats Act and RERA, hardly specific laws pertaining to immovable property are there. Of course, we have Maharashtra Cooperative Societies Act and Apartment Ownership Act, but they are dealing in some segments of property. Let us see from 1947 to 2020. So many chief ministers have come and gone. So many housing ministers have come and gone. Friends, you will be surprised. We had Urban Land Ceiling Act enacted, and practically every chief minister has kept this department, Urban Development Department, with him. Why? One of the reasons could be less work, very high stakes. No wonder many people call urban land ULC as ulcer, because many things happen there. Look at the land which was supposed to be handed over at the time of redevelopment of textiles land. A small percentage of the land actually reached the targeted audience, the government, and with the power of builders lobby, many things were overlooked. Of course, we have good builders, but by and large, the impression of builders is not that good. If you use the word, split the word builder, bill ka dar nahi hai, wo hai builder. Buyback, a term which we humorously use, is builders say, buy back, buy from me, look at my back. Leakage, that is guaranteed. 24 hours water, that is either from the tap or from the walls. And we say, builder ki sahi pehchan, maap mein hi paap hai. Carpet area is the norm. Built up area to some extent tolerable. Super built up area, saleable area, super built up deluxe. I fail to understand why government is patronizing to a certain extent the term built up area. Of course, our MOFA Act has got the term carpet area. But when it comes to revenue, double standards of the government are apparent. They charge on plans for built up area. You ask any architect, he will tell you that built up area will vary from builder to builder and from project to project, because it is linked to the size of the plot. Definitely, there is some systems error, I would say. Let us look at Stamp Act. As far as Stamp Act is concerned, which is concerned with the levy of stamp duty is to be paid on built-up area. I just now mentioned that built-up area will vary from building to building. The stamp authorities don't go for all these things. Just whatever is the carpet area, they just add 20% to it to arrive at the built-up area. Is this correct? Now let me share with you how stamp duty is recovered. Stamp duty is recovered on the market value of the property. And what does the market value talk? Market value talks about the rate which is fixed up by under the ready reckoner by the government authorities. Just as in the case of Mutha, we had some persons were agreed with the market value. And this is the judgment of the Aurangabad bench of the Bombay High Court in contempt petition number 28 of 1993 and writ petition number 550 of 1990. Ashok Mutha and others versus State of Maharashtra, IGR. Ashok Mutha was aggrieved by the decision with regards to the market value of the property, and in this connection, he approached the authorities. And if you will see in this contempt petition, what is the submission? In view of the statement made by Shri P.B. Varale, learned assistant government pleader, appearing for respondents 1 and 2, that the government will not use ready reckoner for calculating stamp duty, no further orders are necessary in this contempt petition. And with these guidelines, in the year on 6th of August 1993, this contempt petition was disposed of. Now, if the undertaking has been given by the government department, by the government, that they will not use ready reckoner, all those dealing with immovable property, specifically stamp duty, are well aware of the fact that practically every case is on the basis of the ready reckoner value. If your flat is facing a swimming pool or it is facing a morgue, just because it happens to within a particular radius, the rate is the same. Minor corrections are there for the age of the building, etc. But the point I am trying to make is there is an admitted fact that undertaking in contempt petition exists on record. Yet for some reasons, all these values which are being published are being proceeded. To circumvent this particular thing, after a few years, they came up with the submission that instead of ready reckoner, we are calling it determination of true market value rules, which is nothing but old wine in new bottle. Let me give another example pertaining to stamp duty. Section 2M of the Maharashtra Stamp Act, earlier it was called Bombay Stamp Act, talked about market value. The origin of the same arose on 2nd July 1980. That says that property stamp duty should be collected as per market value. In spite of the fact that this came into existence on 2nd June 1980, the ready reckoner was prepared in the year 1989. A simple question which I asked these officers, please educate me how you valued the properties from the year 1980 to 1989, and we get a 70 mm smile. वो तो वो वक्त में मैं नहीं संभाल रहा था, दूसरा कोई संभाल रहा था. My submission is, if the documents are to be levied, stamp duty has got to be levied, there has to be a base, and that base has to be followed. Sharing a few more things on the practical aspect, we had Telgi's case and so many stamp duty related issues had arisen. Instead of providing medicine, the approach of the authorities was, you produce your document of the earlier years, we will adjudicate the same. And every document of the earlier years, you have to go with the document, because in Telgi's time, I am told, because I happened to visit the stamp office on those days, we did not have the computerized systems earlier. The receipts for the stamp duty payment being made were being issued through a receipt, and bulk number of receipt books were themselves lost from the stamp office. So there was no system, a mechanism whereby one could ensure whether proper stamp duty is paid. And Telgi's case, some of you may be aware that from the central, we did not have e-stamping procedure at those times. So at that point of time, stamp paper, we had to take the document there, and on the document they used to emboss it. And this embossing which was being done of the stamp duty from the very counters of stamp duty, central stamp office, They itself were being done by representatives of Telgi, and the money was not reaching the stamp office. So they had to introduce this system. What I am trying to emphasize is the procedure involves a lot of harassment to the flat purchasers for no fault of his. They were not able to detect the wrong things being done at the stamp office, for which practically every flat purchaser had to be penalized. Even when you go for registration, you see so many things, and the approach is slightly different from what we anticipate, that e-filing and all the e-compliances are there. It will not be an exaggeration to state that irrespective of the good intention of the senior officers, the ground reality is different. Just for one page scanning, they charge 20 rupees. So you can imagine the enormous amount of revenue that is going to the authorities. Hardly a Xerox takes 45, 50 paise or 1 rupee. But this is the what amount of money which one had to pay for that thing. Now let us see in the last 72 years why politicians and builders had that say. To begin with, up till now the market was rising. We saw that many times in property related transaction, I am told the number 2 amounts were involved. So today you go to the builder for purchase of a property, some amount used to be taken in cash which was not accounted. Then tomorrow, if you again go to the builder, say that this is not provided properly. By the time he has collected the money and you approach him, the market used to increase. And a property purchase for you for say 50 lakhs would have fetched 75 lakhs, 80 lakhs. So builder will say, okay, 50 lakhs you have paid, I will deduct some amount and refund you by balance. And even if your lawyer says to you that I will get you this money, would it make sense when you have already paid certain amount in cash and the price has increased substantially? Look at the aspects at the time of purchase of property. We did not have the areas written on the earlier years. CTS numbers were not being written. It was very, very difficult to imagine a situation as regards fighting against the builder, because they were backed by powerful politicians. Title certificates were being issued, and one of the clauses in the title certificate was the search clerk will not see the available books because that is not available at the registration offices. Look at the system, forest lands. For so many years, those records itself are not available, and title certificates being issued do not reflect the actual impact, because those documents of when one goes to take a search, one could not find those things. This was the order of the day, which is slowly getting corrected. In the earlier years, area was not being written. We had in MOPA, many specific things were written, note 1, note 2. As you all are aware, note 1 talks of statutory clauses and note 2 talks about implementing the owners of the property as confirming party. Very rarely you will find agreements complying with the provisions of MOPA, for the simple reason that the FSI the FSI potential of the property has got to be mentioned, which normally is not being mentioned. Note 2 talks of implementing the owners of the property as confirming party. Let us take the ground reality. There is the owner of the property A. He sells the property to developer B. Developer B sells the property to developer C, and developer C develops the property, and tomorrow he is selling to flat purchaser P. The developer C would not like to have any obstacles from the owner of the property or A, so he does not implement the owner of the property and A as a party to the transaction, making it in my view a defective agreement executed by the builder in favor of the purchaser. The clauses in the agreement are such that out of 90 clauses, it will not be an exaggeration to say 95 clauses are against the flat purchaser. Yet on dotted lines, one has to sign the said clauses. When we move further in the property lane, the property prices have increased. Certain funds are parked in cash. Then car parking money was the norm of the day, which was being charged by the builders, and only a letter of allotment was being given. We all know as lawyers that builder has no right to sign open to sell open parking space, no right to sell terrace. But almost in every case, I would say most of the builders in the earlier years used to do this and get away with it. Some have even collected money. Let me share with you the case of Godrej and Boyce Adi Godrej at Vikhroli. He had sold parking space and criminal proceedings had been initiated against him for sale of car parking space. Of course, that matter is going on and stay has been obtained from the High Court. But the point I am trying to make is civil remedy is there and criminal remedy is also there. Sale of car parking space is an offense under both the civil laws as well as the criminal laws. But still, this was the order of the day. In the last 72 years, not even 10% of the properties have the title to the property in favor of the legal entity as well as the building completion certificate. This itself reflects a system's failure. Luckily, now the market is falling and we have got RERA and consumer laws. Believe me, friends, builders only fear the consumer laws more than RERA. The reason being the provisions of Section 27, which gives the electric current to them to comply with their obligations. But ultimately, if you look at it, by and large, public have got short memory and they forget what their rights are, and they are also a party to the wrongful acts. Let me illustrate to you the simple definition of flat. As per our MOFA Act as well as Maharashtra Cooperative Societies Act, flat is defined as a separate and self-contained set of premises. But at so many places you will find that 2 or 3 flats are merged and a cooperative society is formed. At times this merger is done for convenience reasons. And the builders lobby, I feel, is so powerful that when there were laws like 37EE and 37I for transactions about 10 lakhs and 75 lakhs of the Income Tax Act, whereby if one wants to purchase property, they have to obtain permission from income tax authorities that the correct value is being reflected. Those laws, for reasons best known, the Income Tax Department has withdrawn, and today it's a free for all reign. Even today, I am told that in certain pockets like Bhiwandi, Lonavala, the value reflected in the ready reckoner is hardly a pigment, a small percentage of the value at which the transactions are taking place. No doubt, with the introduction of ready reckoner, we have seen a lot of transparency, and we can say that the black component has substantially reduced. By and large, we see that property is a place pet for politicians and persons with huge cash funds, which can safely be parked in property, retaining the possession of the property, earning on the said property by the mode of appreciation, subletting of premises. But those things are changing now. The winds of change are flowing, and consumer laws and RERA laws are definitely playing a very vital role pertaining to the same. Look at the property laws. We have RERA. We have Consumer Protection Act. In agreements being executed, we will find a clause that you have to go for arbitration, which is not required. As we know, consumer laws are an additional remedy. But still, these are the defenses being taken up at RERA as well as consumer laws. Our accommodation industry is the mother of all industries. It employs 100% capital, 100% labor, and provides so many opportunities of employment to many hundreds of ancillary industry. Yet, so much wrong things are found. Look at an agreement. In addition to agreement, huge amounts are collected in the guise of advanced maintenance, in the guise of swimming pool, in the guise of formation of society. Formation of society requires hardly a few forms to be filled. yet exorbitant amounts are collected in the guise of formation of a cooperative society. We all know that builders rarely get the accounts audited and give it to cooperative society for the period prior to formation of society. In fact, when the proposal is being submitted for formation of society, one has to give statement of accounts. In my opinion, fraudulent statement of accounts are given practically by every builder at the time of formation of society where he is cooperating. There are so much of conditions being put whereby pressure is being put on the flat purchasers for at the time of formation of society. Because at the time of formation of society, one has to give the statement of accounts, and that these accounts have to be ratified in the first meeting by the cooperative society. But just a few rupees here and there are taken out and just put it. When we look at the law provisions, promoter has to convey title, etc., remove the defects. If you look at the ground realities, the name in the property card is of X, and the person who is in possession, who is developing the property may be Y, Z, A, B, C, etc. And you will find many times people don't know the difference between freehold land, leasehold land. Conveyance deed, in my opinion, does not require the signature of the person, of the purchasers, and there are judgments of Alka Bose of Supreme Court which categorically states the provisions of Transfer of Property Act cast a responsibility on the seller to convey the property in favor of the purchaser. With these things, now I come to I come to the provisions or the observations of the Supreme Court in the case of Friends Colony. This is a judgment of the Supreme Court delivered in the case of Friends Colony, Cuttack. I'll share the citation a bit later. But the important clause is clause number 25. I will read out the said clause. Though the municipal laws permit deviations from sanctioned constructions being regularized by compounding, but that is by way of exception. Unfortunately, the exception with the lapse of time and frequent exercise of the discretionary power conferred by such exception has become the rule. Only such deviations deserve to be condoned as are bona fide or are attributable to some misunderstanding, or are such deviations as where the benefit gained by demolition will be far less than the disadvantages suffered. Other than these, deliberate deviations do not deserve to be condoned and compounded. Condoned as are bona fide or are attributable to some compounded. The fourth line I'll go to. Compounding of deviations ought to be kept at a bare minimum. The cases of professional builders stand on a different footing from an individual constructing his own building. A professional builder is supposed to understand the laws better, and deviations by such builders can safely be assumed to be deliberate and done with the intention of earning profits, and hence deserve to be dealt with sternly so as to act as a deterrent for future. It is common knowledge that the builders enter into underhand dealings. These are the observations of Supreme Court. Be that as it may, the state government should think of levying heavy penalties on such builders and therefore develop a welfare fund which can be utilized for compensating and rehabilitating such innocent or unwary buyers who are displaced on account of demolition of illegal construction. This has been the observations of the observations of the Honorable Supreme Court in the case of Friends Colony, Development Committee versus State of Orissa and others, Civil Appeal number 129 so and so, decided on 1st November 2004. In spite of this judgment of the Supreme Court, just ask ourselves how many times the building plans have changed and what has the authorities done to form a special committee in any of the states. No wonder in many cases The chief ministers directly or indirectly are themselves builders and are parties to such act. Another common feature which we find of wrong being done is the plans sanctioned reflect area, say 500. The builder sells the agreement for 800 area and actual flat area is 800, but the municipal plan shows a different area. This is also found in many cases. What needs to be done is, at the time when you are booking a flat, it is an untold rule that you have to sign just like a printed form given by the builder, and there one is literally helpless. One has to sign on the said form whether you like it or not. This is the norms. Now I would like to make one reference to a judgment of recent judgment of the Supreme Court in the case of Shobha Hibiker's judgment. This particular judgment, in my opinion, had not been properly argued at the Supreme Court. It pertains to an apartment, and in this case, the stand taken by National Commission and Supreme Court is consumer courts have no jurisdiction for legal entities like apartment owners. With due respects to the order being passed, I am of the opinion that this particular judgment has created unnecessary controversy with regards to matters related to consumer conveyance and rights of cooperative society for getting the title of the property. Of course, we are this particular thing. Our friend Shirish Deshpande is taking up the said issue with the consumer minister at center with a request to amend the consumer laws retrospectively since the beginning of the Consumer Protection Act. The sum and substance of this judgment is that jurisdiction of consumer court won't be there if the order passed. This judgment was argued on the lines of 12(1)(b), read with section 21(b) B2 of the Consumer Protection Act. However, in my view, one has to see that the judgment has to, this particular complaint has to come under section 21(m)(3), section 21(m)(4), section 21(d), section 21(b)(1), and section 12(1)(a), and cooperative society is entitled for conveyance. Definitely, our friend Shirish Deshpande will be sharing his views on this Shobha Hibiker's judgment, as he has moved the consumer minister at the center for amendment of the Consumer Protection Act. This was moved by him, and the clarification on the same will definitely be of much interest to all of us. Now we move to the provisions of the Consumer Protection Act 2019. As we know, the Consumer Protection Act 2019 has come on 9th August 2019. Unfortunately, till date, the rules have not been framed. Once rules are framed and it is approved, thereafter we'll see the light of the day of the same. The preamble of the Act talks in terms of protection of the interest of consumers and for the said purpose to establish authorities for timely and effective administration and settlement of consumer dispute and for matters connected therewith or incidental thereto. As we all know, preamble is the route on the basis of which one has to proceed. Section 26 of the new Act, which will see the light of the day. Section 261 talks in terms of an unfair contract or unfair trade practice or a restrictive trade practice has been adopted by any trader or service provider. If, as I was mentioning to you, if you look at the clauses of the agreements being executed by the builder, out of 100 clauses, 105 clauses may be against the interest of the purchaser. This is how the things have been going in the real estate industry. Subclause 4 talks in terms of a price in excess of the price. This issue has also been rightly brought in the jurisdiction. Ancillary expenses like society formation, health club charges, advance maintenance, And in fact, the new trend has been just for maintaining these properties, 20%, 10% of the total funds being collected has to be paid as management consultancy fee to third party. This clause also one will have to take advantage of the consumer laws when such instances are found. Let me give a simple example. We go to a hotel and I even take a simple Bisleri bottle. That water bottle costs a few rupees. Yet when it comes to levy of the price, we all know how hotels function and an exorbitant amount is being charged. So this particular clause, where one has to look into it. Clause number 7, a claim for product liability action lies against the product manufacturer, product seller, or product service provider. Here, we will have to look into various aspects for which the common man does not have the right guidance and knowledge. Say a cooperative society is formed and it starts functioning. There have been instances where the building is not constructed properly and the structure is not able to withstand its life. And in a few years, hefty expenses are required to be incurred. And at times, even the buildings require to be pulled down. So now this particular aspect will also be properly highlighted in the light of this particular amendment. Clause number 7, subclause 2 talks in terms of and includes any beneficiary of such services. Any beneficiary of such services. When the rights of a minor are there, this will be applicable. Then we have clause number 9, subclause 2, the right to be informed about the quality, quantity, potency, purity, standard and price of goods, products or services as the case may be, so as to protect the consumers against unfair trade practices. This will have an impact on persons who are trying to endorse the product or are making certain submissions pertaining to the product without being aware of the implications of the said product. Then we have clause number 3, the right to be assured wherever possible access to a variety of goods, products or services at competitive prices. To a certain extent, this will help in breaking off the monopoly. Clause number 5, the introduction of unscrupulous exploitation of consumer will also be of importance to the flat purchasers. Clause number 6, the right to consumer awareness. This is also a new concept which will definitely be of use in the housing industry. Clause number 11 talks in terms of deficiency of service by a person in persons of a contract or otherwise in relation to any services and includes any act of negligence or commission or omission or commission by such persons which causes loss or injury to the consumer and deliberate withholding of relevant information by such persons to the consumer. Many of us travel by flight. It is common knowledge that flights get delayed. At times, the delay is not just of a few minutes or hours, but it is multiple hours. Some reasons are given which are not genuine reasons, and the time when these reasons are given is also more important. For example, they know at the air traffic control knows that the delay is going to take so much time. The flight has not started also from the earlier place, or there are some this thing. So they try and cover up, and unfortunately, the best of the people have to waste substantial amounts of time for no faults of theirs. So this is the case. These clauses will, in my opinion, help airline persons traveling by air. We see that as far as housing is concerned, these type of acts are tried to be subsidized by taking certain writings from the flat purchaser at the time of booking. Example, I am an investor, I will not do this, I will not do that thing. As if I am purchasing a property, I am committing a crime, and I have to just accept anything that is being told to me. Clause number 16, 17, 18. With the winds of change are flowing, and we see e-commerce, electronic service providers and endorsements. These have become the norms of the day. We pay a huge amount of money in spite of not having even the phone number of the person to be contacted. You look any website, you will hardly get a proper mechanism of contacting that particular product. You are at their mercy. You have to send them in a website. It's so designed that message will go from your side to that thing, and you don't have much scope for keeping evidence of all those things. Only knowledgeable persons are able to do this thing. So they are making it difficult for you even to contact them. This you will find in most of the websites, be it Paytm or many other such websites. Even if you want to lodge a complaint, they have got a format. Same thing is applicable for housing agencies, because in housing, the builder is one person and various agents, websites, web portals are the providers, and at times one hardly sees the face of the person who is constructing the building. It is deals are done through middlemen, and in this way, these type of peoples will come under the review of the consumer laws. Same thing applies for brand ambassadors who are endorsing the product. There is nothing wrong in endorsing a product, but you should not make false submission at the time of endorsing a product. Clause number 22 talks in terms of harm in relation to a product liability and includes so and so. Here we have to keep in mind the breach of warranty, specifically in commercial and for the economic loss being caused. This also is a welcome change which we see. Now we have clause number 25 to 28. Clause number 25 to 28 talks in terms of mediation and is the way clause number talks in terms of misleading advertisement. Pausing here for a moment. What happens in real estate? You are shown a product and the price is quoted. Price invariably is quoted. No, this rate is applicable, but this is a super built up rate. Super built up rate is nothing but small area made into a big area. We sometimes joke in real estate fraternity, builder की सही पहचान माप में ही पाप है. Carpet area, built up area, super built up area, super built up deluxe, sellable area. So the 100 square feet carpet area can be made 200 square feet also easily, and that happens quite a lot of times. Specifically when you go to New Bombay side, these things are there. So now this particular misleading advertisement, this will be a shot in the arm for the purchasers, and they collect money. I also gave you the example of BMC charging on built up area. What I am trying to request our association, that they should make a representation to the government authorities that uniform standards to be as per law should be maintained. For example, carpet area is the norm of the day. Why should government authorities like BMC charge money on built up area? We are not against them charging money for the plans passing, etc. But the uniform yardstick as per property law is carpet. So let them charge on carpet so that we know everything. Same thing is applicable for stamp duty. You add 120%, make it 120. Whatever that rate is concerned for 120, make it for 100, enhance that particular rate by 20%. So at least there will not be cheating. Clause number 33, 34. The same talks of product and product liability. And clause number 36. When we look at these things as a whole, there are various things connected with that, incidental things like lift, glass facade, health club equipments. And many times it is observed that they are not up to the mark. So these type of things now will be covered in a better manner in the new Consumer Protection Act. Clause number 42 talks in terms of service. Service means services of any description which is made available to potential users and includes but not limited to the provisions of facilities in connection with banking, finance, insurance, transport, processing, supply of electrical or other energy, telecom, boarding or lodging, or both, housing, construction, entertainment, amusement, or the purveying of news or information, but does not include the service of any rendering of any service free of charge or under a contract of personal service. The word free also we know includes fees, but we are not talking of free this thing, because we are only, if we pay, we become a consumer. Now here also this impact will be more, because the intentions of the legislature are very clearly known that when you talk of service, it is not just linked to the purchaser or paying money, and whatever are incidental activities to it will also get covered. Clause number 46. Clause number 46, it is appearing on this page and the subsequent page. It talks of unfair contracts. Pausing for a moment on unfair contracts, it is not an exaggeration to say that most of the contracts being executed, be it the agreement or the documents being taken by the builder, in my view, to a certain extent, they are unfair. Why I say unfair? Because first they tell you, you give us and the builder is inviting you to purchase the flat. That sort of letters are taken. I can understand the thing if one person or two person gives, but if there are 50 flats, invariably you will find 50 such letters with the same verbatim writing except for the flat number, price, etc. Most of these agreements have got clauses which even a person who has studied SSC would be reluctant to sign. But when you go, even if a professional advocate or a solicitor goes, he has to sign there. By the way, on a lighter vein, I will say, next to our bar council, we have got the solicitor's premises. And solicitor is not a recognized degree of the government. Valuable space like the place at High Court also is being occupied by solicitors, which our bar association or other people can make proper use. It is a monopoly being utilized and by a certain segment of influential lawyers. Now coming further, I gave an example of arbitration clauses executed by mentioned by the builder in the agreement, which stipulates that you have to go for arbitration, you cannot go to court, but they are not worth the paper on which it is printed. Now we come to chapter 2 of the consumer protection. We have consumer protection councils. Clause number 3.2 talks in terms of the central council. It shall be an advisory council. So intention is good to have advisory level. In a lighter vein, I would say advisory in nature is this advisory concern, is the advisory in nature is the advisory council. In a lighter vein, I would say it is like a minister without portfolio. The intention may be good, it is certainly good, but anything without power is useless. Unless you have teeth, definitely one will not respect it that much. What we are more concerned is chapter 3, Central Consumer Protection Authority. Section 10, subsection 1 talks in terms of Central Consumer Protection Authority, and it has powers to regulate matters relating to violation of rights of which are prejudicial to the interest of public and consumers, and to promote, protect, and enforce the rights of consumers as a class. Here, the aspect of misleading advertisement, price, super built up area, and all those things will come into play, because the norms of the day are wrongful submissions being made by the builders lobby. In fact, in a case of at Nagpur, I am told the builder collected more than 8 crores rupees from the flat purchase. After collecting such a huge amount, he did not even bother to form a legal entity, and he did not bother to contact to protect the rights of the flat purchasers. Ultimately, as no rights the rights were not being protected, they approached the police authorities were approached. The builder approached the Nagpur bench of the Bombay High Court in criminal application, anticipatory bail application number 676 of 2008 with criminal application number 692 of 2018. In the case of Pradeep Govardhan Raut and others versus State of Maharashtra, Justice V.M. Deshpande on 1st October 2019 was pleased to pass orders. It is important to note that he applied for bail because he was apprehending that now police will take action. The orders passed by the judge clearly stipulated that what the money was being collected by the builder has to be handed over to the district deputy registrar, because whether it is a cooperative society or apartment ownership act, and even under the apartment ownership act, competent authority is the registrar of cooperative society. So while granting bail, direction was given by the honorable judge to ensure that the money collected by the flat purchaser is collected is deposited all that thing, and it has the maintenance of the building and the complex till the legal entity etc. being formed will have to be done through the office of the district deputy registrar, and then that was the condition on which the bail was granted. Criminal application, this thing, case number registered with police station Nandanvan, Nagpur for an offence punishable in section 429, 409, 384 read with section 34 of the IPC and section 3, 7, 8, 9, 10 and 13 of the MOFA Act be released on bail on their executing PR bond of 5 lakhs each plus one surety. After completion of the investigation officer shall file the final report before the competent court. Registrar Judicial of this court is directed to transfer the amount so deposited before this court along with interest accrued thereon to the district deputy registrar, Nagpur. The district deputy registrar is directed that after receipt of the said amount carry on the work of maintenance of Nirmal Nagari condominium after giving opportunity to both the parties, both the present complainant or any other flat purchaser and the complainant either himself or a responsible officer appointed by him for a period of 1 year. In the meanwhile, he shall ensure that there is election of manning committee body of condominium, and after election, he shall ensure work of maintenance to the said elected manning committee to see that the amount is utilized properly for maintaining the building. The district deputy registrar is directed to maintain accounts of expenditure for maintenance in accordance with law. So this is what is important, that district deputy registrar, the money was collected from the builder, and because of the this particular thing, the winds of change, the district deputy registrar took over the funds from the builder and started managing. Now we come to section 13, clause number 3. The central authority may engage in accordance with the procedure specified the regulations such number of experts and professionals of integrity and ability who have special knowledge and experience in the areas of consumer rights and welfare, consumer policy law, medicine, food safety, health, engineering, product safety, commerce, economics, public affairs, or administration as it deems necessary to assign in the discharge of the function. There are so many technical issues that can arise, and here this particular thing will be helpful to the central authority. Section 17 talks of the writings in electronic mode, which is a new, which is the need of the day, because bulk of the time we are able to communicate with each other in a better manner in electronic mode. And I always tell all my flat purchaser clients who are coming to meet the builder, whenever you go to the builder, please record the entire communication which is done with the video, so that what one is speaking is the base which will be the foundation of the future of disputes in case it arises, and the records are always kept straight. Clause number 20, the powers of investigations of the central authority. And this is the power which is practically will be feared in the days to come by the builders as well as the manufacturers, and this will be a shot in the arm for the consumers. Similarly, those people who are giving advertisements are also will be in the continue, and the powers include discontinuance of such advertisement under clause 21. The penalties that can be levied on manufacturers is 10 lakh rupees. 10 lakh rupees, and every subsequent contravention by the manufacturer or the endorser, a penalty which can extend up to 50 lakhs is there. Similarly, under clause 4, the central authority, if it is satisfied and that any person is found to publish or is a party to the publication of a misleading advertisement, it may impose on such person a penalty which may extend to 10 lakh rupees. The law is only respected when it acts as a deterrent to the wrongdoer. Supposing I am traveling with ticketless and the fine is 5 rupees, I won't bother to stand in the queue because the fine is peanuts. But if that fine is made 5,000 rupees, I will rather wait and then go and buy the ticket, because then only I'll fear the law. We have many toothless laws, and that is the reason builders lobby has exploited such laws for a long time, but now winds of change are blowing. If any person is, clause number 24 talks about the powers of the central authority to file appeal in National Commission 30 days. On same lines, we have chapter 4, which talks of Consumer Dispute Redressal Commission. Clause number 28 talks in terms of the composition, the District Consumer Dispute Redressal Commission, and the jurisdiction of it is this thing, clause number 34.1, which talks of one CR, which all of us are aware. And the best part of the Consumer Commission is 34.2, subclause D. The complaint resides or personally works for gains. Now, what happens is many times the agreements were trying to restrict the rights of the complainants to file complaint. At times, it so happens that I may be staying at X place and I may be working at Y place. Now, because of this provision, the consumer will be in a comfortable position to file a complaint at a place convenient to him where to file the complaint. Clause number 36.1.3 talks in terms of the time limit for admission of a complaint, which is 21 days. The reply has to be filed within 30 days plus extension of 15 days, 45 days. That is as per section 38.2. And this the interim relief sir can also be can be granted, and that is a big boon for the consumer, as laid down in clause number B, to settle the consumer dispute in the manner specified in clause C to G. We have clause number 40. The district commission shall have the power to review any of the order passed by it if there appears there is an error apparent on the face of it, on the face of the records, either of its own motion or an application made by any of the parties within 30 days. In my view, this is another good provision. We found that there were some technical errors for some reason or the other, and whether that mistake is rectified at A level or a higher B level, it makes no difference. And this power being given will help in removing technicalities at the earliest point of time and by the very person who had passed the order. So this will definitely be a good factor. We have clause number 41, which talks in terms of depositing amount of 50% of the amount, which earlier was 25,000. And in fact, this will act as a deterrent to the persons who wish to file appeal. Now, what happens is, if I am a builder, I know I don't have any merits in the matter, but because I have got an appeal provision by paying a small amount of 25,000 rupees to frustrate the flat purchaser, intentionally appeals are filed, not because there is substance in the matter, but to put more pressure. And this pressure tactics works in many cases, because if one person files the complaint and he succeeds, there are chances that many other 5 people may follow on the same lines. But by that, when time is passing, in the nature of appeal, the persons who are aggrieved may be reluctant to file appeal. This happens, and this happens on quite a few occasions. Clause number 47 talks of jurisdiction, and we know that the state commission jurisdiction is 10 crores. In fact, with the passage of time, the rupee is also reducing value, and if more and more power pertaining to jurisdiction is sent to the lowest authority, it is better. Of course, consumer commission will only come when it is above 1 but less than 10. Clause number 58 talks in terms of appeal against the orders of the state commission and as to the central authority and to national commission, which is 30 days, as we all know it. Clause number 71 is similar to the powers vested under section 25 and 27 of the old act. The important thing to be kept in mind is of section 72(1). Any order which is passed, here it shall be punishable with a imprisonment for a term which shall not be less than 1 month, but which may extend to 3 years, or with fine, which shall not be less than 25,000, but which may extend to 1 lakh rupees, or with both. The importance is of the word shall. Of course, liberal interpretation, the word shall includes may. But by and large, this is a sufficient ground for the flat purchasers when he is fighting with the builder to ensure that in this particular if there is an order passed, one has to respect the order and comply with the order. Clause number 88 and 89 talks of offences and penalties. This also acts the amounts of 6 months. And fine 6 months and imprisonment and fine 20 lakhs as per 88, and similar fine of 5 years and 50 lakhs can will act as a deterrent to the person who is making false claim. These are the maximum amount that can be levied. Then we have the other provisions, provision number 94, for the purpose of preventing unfair trade practices in e-commerce direct selling and also to protect the interests and rights of consumers, the central government may take such measures in the matter as may be prescribed. Because when the Consumer Protection Act was earlier enacted, we did not have the concept of e-commerce. So this concept is being taken care of. Our landmark 100 number section is that this particular act is in addition to the other avenues being available. They are not in derogation to the provisions of any other law for the time being. That is also certainly of help, and which is of course same compared to the earlier laws. In fact, I think the time is over. I've got a PowerPoint presentation also. I am thankful to the organizers, Udayji, and the other office bearers of the association for giving me an opportunity to express my views. And always I'm a soldier of CCA, so whenever anything is there, I'm always with you. Thank you, friends, for giving me a patient hearing.